Seneca was an ancient Roman Stoic philosopher, writer, and statesman. At the core of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control. The Stoics argued that we should divide everything in life into two categories: things we can control and things we can't. What we can control is limited to our own mind, our thoughts, our intentions, and our reactions. Everything else, including the weather, the opinions of others, and even the economy, is outside of our control. Money works the same way. You might work hard, but you can't control a sudden market crash, a company-wide layoff, or an unexpected expense. Yet despite this, most of us let our bank balance dictate our emotions. When the numbers go up, we feel successful. When they go down, we feel anxious and defeated. To help make sense of the world, the Stoics categorized everything in life into three parts: the good, which are virtuous acts and good character; the bad, which are corrupt actions or ignorant decisions; and the indifferent, which is essentially everything else, including health, reputation, and money. Seneca defended this idea most famously in his essay On the Happy Life, in which he viewed money as a preferred indifferent. This means that while money doesn't make you a better or happier person, it's still preferred because it's more convenient to have it than not. It gives you more options, but it's not essential for a good life. Since money is both a preferred indifferent and fundamentally outside of your control, Seneca believed that it should never have the power over your peace. So join me as we explore how to stop letting money control your emotions using the philosophy of Seneca. Number 1. Identify the 3 money traps. Seneca identified 3 specific mental traps that cause money to hijack your emotions. You'll likely recognize yourself in at least one. First is the identity trap, where Seneca argued that most people don't possess their wealth, rather their wealth possesses them. It means that if your confidence drops every time your bank balance does, you don't actually own your money owns you. True ownership is the ability to lose it all and still feel like the same person you were before. Next is the postponement trap. Most people put off enjoying life, believing that they'll start once they reach a certain number. Seneca pushed back on this idea in his essay On the Shortness of Life. He saw it as a quiet waste, trading the present for a future that isn't guaranteed. The problem is that enough keeps moving. If you're waiting for a certain number to be happy, you're fundamentally practicing the habit of wanting. The mindset doesn't go away just because your bank balance increases. Finally, there's the fear of loss trap, which Seneca lived daily. As a wealthy man under the erratic Emperor Nero, he knew his life and fortune could be taken away from him just like that. He noted that as wealth grows, so does the surface area for anxiety. You have more to protect, more to ensure, and more to worry about. These 3, the identity trap, the postponement trap, and the fear of loss trap, are how money gets inside your head. Number 2. Distinguish appetite from need. To stop money from controlling your emotions, Seneca advises us to understand the difference between your body's needs and your mind's appetites. Think of a need like a destination on a map. If you're hungry, your body needs food. Once you eat, the destination is reached and you're satisfied. It has a finish line. A simple bowl of rice or a piece of bread can satisfy a need perfectly. An appetite, however, is a road that leads nowhere. It isn't looking for satisfaction, it's looking for stimulation. Appetite doesn't just want food, it wants the rarest spices, the most expensive chef, and the status of the hardest to book table in the city. The danger is that these cravings eventually stop feeling like a choice and start feeling like a requirement. Once you get used to a certain level of comfort, it becomes your new normal. Yesterday's treat becomes today's baseline. You end up working harder just to keep up with a standard of living that keeps moving the finish line, leaving you forever one step behind your own life. So how do you tell the difference? Especially when modern marketing is designed to make every appetite feel like a need. Seneca gives us a question that cuts right through the noise. Try asking yourself, would I still want this if no one could see it? This forces us to admit that so much of what we chase isn't really for us, it's for the audience. We buy the car, the watch, the table at the right restaurant, the apartment in the right neighbourhood. A significant part of what drives those desires isn't the thing itself, it's the signal it sends. What the thing says about you in the eyes of others. But here's the brutal truth. There's no point at which you'll be able to impress everyone. The audience is infinite, and frankly, no one cares about you as much as you think they care about you. If a want disappears the moment you remove the audience, then it was never a need to begin with. It was just an appetite for status, and when you stop performing for others that don't even care, you stop letting your bank account control how you feel. Number 3. Practice the 24-hour pause. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in the Roman Empire. Yet he spent a significant amount of time warning against the itch of desire. He observed that most people aren't ruined by a lack of money, but by the impulsivity that money enables. In his view, the moment you strongly want something is usually the worst time to decide if you should have it. And modern science has confirmed this. When we see something we want, like a new gadget, a piece of clothing, or a luxury upgrade, our brain experiences a spike in dopamine. In that moment, we aren't thinking logically, we're reacting emotionally. Seneca famously wrote in his essay On Anger that the greatest remedy for anger is delay. To a Stoic, a sudden craving for a luxury item is no different than a flash of rage. Both are what they called passions, temporary storms in the mind that cloud our reason. If you act in that moment, you're not making a considered decision, you're just reacting to an urge. So he developed a practice. Before any non-essential purchase, anything that isn't food, shelter, or a genuine necessity, you wait. Not a week, not a month, just one day, just 24 hours. That's it. When the desire first hits, it arrives with a kind of urgency. It feels important. It feels like if you don't act now, something will be lost. Seneca was deeply suspicious of this, because genuine needs don't usually arrive with that kind of theatrical pressure. It's appetite, that desire to buy, that creates a false urgency that you must buy right now. Imagine you're browsing online late at night, and you see a high-end, sleek espresso machine. It's 30% off for the next 4 hours. Suddenly, you start imagining how much better your mornings will be, how much nicer it will look on your counter, and how much wealthier you'll feel. Your heart rate actually picks up. This is the theatrical pressure, the sense that your happiness depends on clicking buy before the timer hits 0. By applying the 24-hour pause, you aren't saying no yet. You're giving the psychological drama time to break, so your reason can take the wheel again. After those 24 hours, you ask yourself one honest question. Do I still want this? Or did I just want the feeling of buying it? There is a massive difference between the two. In wanting the thing, you realise that the espresso machine serves a function you'll actually use every day for years. The joy it brings isn't dependent on the thrill of the sale, whereas in wanting the feeling, you realise that what you actually wanted was the hit of dopamine, the temporary sense of being a connoisseur, or the relief from a boring Tuesday night. If, after a full day, the desire is still there, all calm and rational, then go ahead and buy the thing. The pause simply helps you make the right purchases at the right time for the right reasons. Number 4. Name the emotion. Seneca believed we suffer because we abandon the present by worrying about a future that doesn't exist yet, or by worrying about the past that you have no control over anymore. Financial anxiety follows this same pattern. It's rarely about what's happening right this second. Usually, in the actual present moment, you're physically safe and have what you need to breathe. The stress comes because your mind has travelled elsewhere. You're either regretting a past financial mistake, or you're anticipating a future disaster that hasn't happened yet. And by doing this, we effectively stop living in the only time that actually is real. When anxiety arrives, it just appears. A spike of something unpleasant when a colleague mentions their salary, or when the market drops, or when an unexpected expense lands in your lap. And in that moment, we either immediately act on the feeling, we scroll, we spend, we distract, we catastrophize, or we suppress it. We push it down, tell ourselves we're fine, and carry the tension quietly for the rest of the day. Both responses leave the feeling in place, still running in the background, still influencing your actions without you noticing. But Seneca offered a third option. Name it. Out loud if you can, or clearly in your mind if you can't. Naming an emotion forces you to look at the feeling rather than through it, a shift that begins by being as literal as possible. You tell yourself, I feel fear. Not danger, fear. This distinction is the core of the practice, because danger is an objective reality, a physical threat requiring you to move your body immediately, while fear is an internal sensation generated by the mind about something that cannot actually hurt you in this moment. Think how it feels to be hit with a sudden, large expense. As your heart starts to race and panic sets in, the instinct is to spiral into a future where you're ruined or start blaming others. But if you stop to name the sensation, saying, I am feeling anxiety, my chest is tight, but I am safe in this chair, you create a vital gap between the news and your reaction. This acknowledgement pulls you out of an imagined catastrophe and grounds you in the physical present, where you're simply a person looking at a piece of information. You cannot stop the initial jolt of a feeling, but you can choose whether or not to agree with the story it's telling you. From that distance, you can look at the expense with a clear head and take a rational, practical step rather than making a desperate decision driven by a feeling you've mistaken for the truth. Number 5. Audit your evenings. For Seneca, the evening reflection was not a session of self-flagellation, but a court of conscience. In his work On Anger, he describes a practice he borrowed from the philosopher Sextius. When the day was over and he'd retired to his bedroom, he'd put his entire day on trial. Seneca believed that the mind is at its most objective when the noise of the day has settled. He'd review every word and action, hiding nothing from himself and bypassing nothing either. While various Stoics had different nuances, the audit typically revolved around 3 specific inquiries. The first is, what did I do well today? Then, what did I do wrong? And finally, what could I have done differently? To stop money from controlling your emotions, you can adapt the Stoic audit to monitor your financial passions, like greed, envy, or fear. Ask yourself these questions every evening. Did I feel a pang of envy today seeing someone else's success? Or did seeing their purchases make me feel less than? Did I react out of fear or panic regarding my assets? When I heard market news or a bill arrived, did I lose my composure? Did I forget that my character is the only thing truly under my control? And was my spending today aligned with my values? Or was it an impulsive attempt to hide from boredom or stress? Through the evening reflection, money ceases to be a master and returns to its rightful place, just being a tool. Number 6. Practice downward gaze. Seneca saw that a human mind is extremely good at noticing what's missing and extremely bad at noticing what's already there. Because your house or your health are stable, they'll become invisible. You'll only notice the new bill or the person earning more than you because they represent a change or a threat. This leads to what Seneca called the upward gaze. We don't measure our wealth in absolute terms. We measure it relative to whoever is just above us. The person earning 50,000 watches the person earning 100, and the millionaire watches the billionaire. At no point does anyone feel that they've arrived, because the comparison moves as you climb. To break this cycle, Seneca's prescription was direct. Stop looking up and start looking down. Look at the person who doesn't have reliable work or who can't cover an emergency expense. When you look at your life from where they're standing, your insufficient life looks like absolute security. You can also write down everything you currently have that is enough. A roof that doesn't leak, food in the fridge, a phone that works, people who care about you, a body that functions well enough to get through the day, and be thankful for it. This simple gratitude exercise will help you realize that you actually lack very little and will force your attention back to the stable background of your life that you've been ignoring for years. Number 7. Practice voluntary poverty. For Seneca, simply appreciating your blessings wasn't enough. He believed it's one thing to value your comforts, but it's another to prove to yourself that you'd be okay without them. He believed that wealth was a fickle mistress, and that the only way to remain free was to prove to himself that he didn't actually need it. Central to this was the Stoic belief that everything we possess, our wealth, our property, and even our loved ones, is merely a temporary loan from the universe. It can be called back at any moment without notice. Because these things were never truly ours, Seneca wanted to be prepared for the day when they disappeared. He'd spend time vividly imagining scenarios like shipwrecks or the sudden seizure of his assets, not as distant possibilities, but as if they'd already happened. He wanted to strip these events of their power to shock him. This process of imagining worst-case scenarios is called negative visualization. In a modern context, you can practice this by setting aside time once a week and imagining what you'd do if your primary income disappeared tomorrow, or if a major emergency cost you your entire savings. By having a literal plan for the setback, knowing which subscriptions you'd cancel or the smaller apartment you'd move into, you stop it from being a vague, terrifying monster and turn it into a manageable, logistical problem. But Seneca didn't just think about being poor, he physically rehearsed it too. In his letters, he advised setting aside a few days every month to live on the scantiest and cheapest fare and wear coarse and rough dress, asking himself, "Is this the condition that I feared?" This idea is known as voluntary hardship. You can apply it in modern life by occasionally stepping away from your usual comforts, just to remind yourself that you don't need your comforts to be happy. This might mean spending a weekend eating only basic staples like lentils and rice, or taking the bus instead of using a ride-sharing app, or turning off the air conditioning during a hot afternoon. But remember, the goal isn't to save money. It's to provide your mind with internal evidence that your character and happiness remain intact, even when your lifestyle is stripped back. When you realize that you can still think clearly and find joy while living on the bare minimum, money loses its grip on your emotions. And that's our video. So what did you think? Will you be factoring any of Seneca's teachings into your life? Maybe you see things just a little differently. Whatever it is, I would love to hear what you have to say in the comments. But until next time, as ever, I've been Dan, you've been awesome, and if you enjoyed what you saw or found it helpful, why not check out our full Philosophies for Life playlist? And for more videos to help you find success and happiness using beautiful philosophical wisdom, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.